This is Hugin. You might know him as the trustworthy, advice providing raven, often stopping by to provide you guidance on your adventures. Unfortunately, he's been lying to you this entire time. Well, lying might be an exaggeration. Hugin does provide useful advice, but unlike many survival games, Valheim does not hold your hand and leaves it up to the player to uncover its many secrets. I have uncovered 100 of those tips to share with you. Let me know in the comments at which number you learned something new. Hugin will be back later to tell us more about today's video sponsor, War Thunder. But first, let's dive into 100 things Valheim does not tell you. Number 1. If you are simply sick of our fine feathered chatterbox, you can go to your game settings and disable his hints. With this setting applied, neither Hugin or Munin will visit you for the duration of the playthrough. While in your game settings, I would also advise you turn off camera shake, flashing lights, motion blur, and auto run. With these settings off, your game will perform better and have fewer distractions so you can better focus on combat. We will cover more recommended settings later in the video. Did you know you are a dead Viking summoned by Odin to save the world of Valheim? Odin tasked his fallen Valkyrie to find the most powerful fallen Viking and bring them here to slay the Forsaken bosses. As a result, your goal is to slay the Forsaken and earn your right to enter the afterlife, Valhalla. This game has deep lore, and I will share with you how you can learn more about it a little later. Unlike most survival games, you do not actually need to eat in Valheim. In this game, you will not starve, but be restricted to a max health of 25. Food functions to increase your max health, stamina, healing rate, and iter as you progress to the Mistlands. To increase these stats, you can eat up to 3 different foods at the same time, increasing your max by the values shown in the description of the food in your inventory. As time passes, the food provided by your buff will deteriorate based on the duration of the specific food and will flash when it's close to expiring. The flashing indicates your body can now accept a new food to replace it. The color of the fork on the food in your inventory represents which stat the food prioritizes. Red for health, yellow for stamina, white for a balance, and finally blue for iter. You can use the comma and period keys on your keyboard to zoom in and out on your minimap. You would not believe how many years I played this game and never realized I could do this. The day and night cycle in Valheim are 30 minutes long, with the day lasting 21 minutes and the night lasting 9. Night is declared when the "you feel cold" announcement is made and the cold effect is applied to you. Hostile mobs spawn more frequently at night, but fortunately you can bypass it by sleeping in a bed. While crafting anything at your workbenches, you will see the crafting bar filling up, showing the progress of your craft. If crafting something by accident, quickly click again on the crafting bar to stop the craft. This has saved me countless times when trying to upgrade a piece of gear and not realizing I am in the crafting menu by accident. Speaking of upgrading, all weapons and armor can be upgraded at their corresponding workbench, increasing their stats and durability at the cost of materials. That said, workbenches often need to have their level increased before unlocking new crafting recipes and higher tier upgrades. For instance, the workbench's first 2 upgrades are the tanning rack and chopping block, together bringing the workbench to level 3, unlocking more recipes. The forge and black forge discovered later in the game will work the same way. As mentioned, your weapons and armor have durability that when expired will break, making the item unusable. Fortunately, repairing items is free of cost and can simply be repaired by going to the corresponding workbench and hitting the repair hammer button, repairing each item in your inventory one at a time. Before crafting any of your shields or later the linen cape, make sure you select the style you prefer. Most weapons and armor do not have styles, but shields and specifically the linen cape are the exceptions. To begin mastering combat in Valheim, you need to understand the damage types in the game. First, there is physical damage in Pierce, Blunt, Slash. Second, elemental in Fire, Frost, Poison, Lightning, and Spirit. Each weapon you craft will do one or many of these and can be determined by inspecting the item in your inventory or the crafting menu. To maximize the effectiveness of your weapons, you should familiarize yourself with the strengths and weaknesses of each creature. Most creatures are weak or resistant to one or many of the damage types we discussed. The trolls, for example, are weak to pierce damage, so choosing a weapon like the bow or spear will be more effective against these monsters. Most of Valheim's creatures have a trophy with varying drop rates, with as many as low as 5%. These are excellent collector's items and can be mounted on item stands to help decorate your home. Open your inventory and click the trophy symbol to inspect the trophies you have collected. To get the most out of your weapons, you will need to understand their weapon mechanics. There are various weapon classes with different attack patterns, but most weapons both have a primary and secondary attack. For instance, the spear has a primary lunge and a secondary spear toss. Stick around for more advanced weapon mechanic tips later in the video. When hitting a creature, the damage taken by them will be either gray, white, or yellow. The color of the damage indicates whether the creature is resistant, neutral, or weak to the damage type being dealt to them. The attacks of the larger, stronger creatures can help you gather resources. For instance, troll attacks will damage the environment around them. Their attacks can be used to knock down trees, break rock, or even copper nodes. Other AoE damaging creatures encountered later in the game will also work, like the Seeker Soldier as an example. Most actions in Valheim have a skill associated with them, from running to mining to swinging your weapon. Increase that skill and consequently your proficiency doing them. Leveling up your skills is key to your success as you progress to the more challenging parts of the game. Raid events have a 20% chance to occur every 46 minutes under normal settings. Creatures will spawn continuously during these events for a fixed duration, only ticking down while the player remains in the red circle. The spawned creature in the event are dependent on the bosses and creatures you have killed. Fortunately, events will only trigger when you are near your base, with few exceptions. You will notice throughout the game, you will gain various effects denoted by symbols in the top right of your screen. If you are curious about what these mean, open your crafting menu and select the compendium. Select active effects for a detailed explanation of all the effects that are currently applied to you. Further, you'll be able to review all the tips previously provided to you by Hugin. Wait, what was that, Hugin? Oh right, Hugin is here with a special message from today's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made and is available for free on Xbox, PlayStation, or PC. Take to the skies, open seas, and rugged terrain in one of over 2,500 planes, ships, and tanks of 10 major nations from the 1920s to modern times, with incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and authentic sound effects. Join a worldwide community today of over 70 million players in epic PvP battles in any one of 3 available game modes for any playstyle, ranging from their fast-paced arcade mode to my personal favorite in the realistic simulator mode for the ultimate challenge. There is no game better suited for fans of military history. Now is the perfect time to dive into War Thunder as either a new player or returning after 6 or more months for a massive bonus pack available for a limited time across all platforms. Inside are multiple premium vehicles, an exclusive vehicle decorator, the Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of a premium account. War Thunder is heavily optimized to perform on lower end machines, so no man is left behind. Seize this opportunity today and sign up with my link in the video description or pinned comment below. That's enough from Hugin for now. Back to the best tips Valheim does not tell you. Each weapon class has a skill associated with it that increases the damage output the more proficient you are. For instance, the yellow numbers shown with the polearm is the range of damage that will be done based on my polearm skill. When in combat, you can block incoming enemy attacks to absorb damage. The damage absorbed is improved by the block armor of your weapon, or better yet, using a shield. There are 3 types of shields with unique properties in the buckler, round, and tower. Bucklers provide the highest parry bonus, while towers cannot parry at all. However, towers have the highest block armor, but do come with the highest movement speed reduction. Round shields are a middle ground between the two. Make sure you select the best for your playstyle. Parrying, as mentioned, occurs when you time a block with an enemy's attack. When parrying successfully, you get a parry bonus, which acts as a multiplier on your block armor, increasing your absorbed damage. This multiplier varies based on the weapon or shield blocking. Further, parried enemies are staggered, and when staggered, take 2 times the damage from your attacks. However, parrying is risky, and if you miss, you may just die. When dying in Valheim, you will leave a tombstone at your death location with a skull and bones, marking your death on your map. Under normal settings, your inventory will be left at your tombstone, but you will lose 5% of your skills level and all the progress towards the next level of your skills as indicated by the orange bars shown in the skills menu. Fortunately, after dying, a 10-minute effect is applied to you called No Skills Drain. While this effect is active, you will not lose skill progress if dying a second time. Further, when interacting with your tombstone, you receive the Corpse Run effect for 50 seconds to dramatically buff your escape. Arrows require a ton of feathers. The best way to get feathers is by shooting birds with, well, arrows. But you don't want to spend your arrows to craft more arrows, right? Instead, snipe birds with either the secondary attack of your spear, or better yet, the Abyssal Harpoon. If you are planning a party in Valheim, grab some Surtling cores and place them in your fire for some quick fireworks. Valheim has very deep lore that is told through the finding and reading of runestones scattered across its many biomes. Next time you see one of these, take the time to read it and start connecting the dots of the history of this rich world. Do not worry about destroying your builds and relocating them. In Valheim, 100% of the resource costs of built structures are returned to you when deconstructing something. If you ever accidentally trigger the use of your equipped Forsaken power, you can quickly jump to cancel its activation. For a precise docking of your ship, leap off to immediately stop the ship's forward progress. Similarly, if you accidentally fall off, your ship will immediately stop in place. However, keep in mind, if another player is on the ship, it will not stop. When building, you will see quick snap buttons allowing you to cycle through snap options when attempting to connect build pieces. These are bound to Q and E for keyboard, but if using a controller, the buttons will be displayed at the bottom of the screen with your hammer out. When placing build pieces, the color of the build piece indicates the structural integrity. A blue piece means the piece is foundational with maximum structural strength. As you build higher, the strength will lessen with pieces changing from green to yellow, orange, and finally red. Any piece built joining a red piece will immediately break. Certain materials are stronger than others and will allow you to build higher. For instance, wood can be built to a height of 16 meters, core wood 24, and iron poles 50 meters. However, you can use existing structures as a base to build higher, like trees or existing stones. Ancient trees in the swamp and these stone circles in the meadows are a couple of my favorite, as these structures cannot be destroyed. Unlike stone walls, creatures cannot damage terrain. As a result, consider raising earth with your hoe for your base's protective walls. Normally, fine wood from birch trees cannot be obtained until the Black Forest, as they require at least a bronze axe to chop down. However, if you knock a beech tree into a birch tree, the tree can be taken down. At which point, continuously push the birch log into other objects until it breaks. Voila! Early fine wood. Valheim is a living world, and as you defeat bosses, progressing the game, different creatures will start spawning in previous biomes at night. As an example, after defeating the Elder, Grey Dwarfs will begin turning up in the meadows. Many of the creatures in Valheim can be tamed and bred for their offspring. Boars, wolves, lox, and the Ashlands Ask-Sven can be tamed, while eggs can be hatched for hens. Every creature in Valheim is part of a secret faction. Creatures of the same faction will be friendly, while they will engage in combat against creatures of any other faction. Unfortunately, the one exception are bosses, of which all creature factions are allied. While two tamed animals mate, their offspring will inherit the stars of the parent. If a one-star creature gets pregnant, its offspring will also inherit the star. When a creature is tamed, they join the player faction. The tamed creature can no longer receive damage from the player, and the creature will no longer be aggressive towards you. To butcher your tamed creatures, you will require the butcher's knife, giving them a quick death, or another method I will share with you in a later tip. Tamed creatures going forward will attack all creatures not in the player faction, except those of the same species. For instance, a tame wolf will not attack a wild one. Tame creatures cannot travel through portals, but if careful, can be transported by ship. Rather than sail around a big island, you can dock, destroy your boat with an axe, carry the boat materials to the other side of the island, and rebuild the ship to continue your journey. The higher you dive into water, the further you sink. If you ever drop material at the bottom of shallow water that you cannot reach, build a ladder up and jump from a greater height to reach the ocean floor. Alternatively, you can lay down a workbench and raise the earth underneath the item using your hoe. The item will first disappear, but shortly reappear at the peak of the raised earth. The rested effect is the most powerful buff you can get in the game, which requires only that you be seated under the fire effect, like from a campfire, granted it's not raining or a creature is not nearby. The fire effect required for resting can be provided from various sources, with each of them having varied effective radiuses ranging from 3 meters from the hot tub all the way to 15 meters from the bonfire. You can increase the length of the rested effect bonus received by increasing the comfort level of the area you are resting. When resting, each of the items built within 10 meters of you will contribute to your comfort level. The current max for comfort is 19, with the 2 seasonal items in the Yule Tree and Maypole providing 26 minutes of the rested buff. Any fire must be vented or it will smoke the room, dealing damage to the player. Windmills process barley to flour faster when the wind is at greater strength, especially during stormy weather. The plains is the windiest of Valheim's biomes, making this biome the most efficient location to build your windmills. I have another incredible weather tip, save for the end, that you surely have not heard before. Stick around for that. You can prevent the spawn of creatures by placing what are called base structures. Placing any of the structures listed will prevent spawn of creatures within a radius equivalent to that seen from the dotted line when placing a workbench. Campfires are the most cost effective and will prevent spawn even if not lit. Items dropped on the ground will despawn after 1 hour. However, those dropped within the radius of any of the base structures will eliminate this time limit and will never despawn. Hostile creatures will attack most base structures on site with 4 exceptions. Campfires, bonfires, and neither brazier will ever be attacked by a hostile creature. The secondary AoE attacks of both Akirs and two-handed axes can be used to harvest flax and barley more quickly. Banners and rugs can be placed around your home to hide doors and trapdoors in your floor. If sailing at sea and your boat is destroyed, everything stored within the ship will not be lost. When returning to the source of the wreck, you will find a floating crate carrying all of the ship's cargo. The metal nails used to craft the ship, however, will have sunk. It's faster to drop a piece of equipment you are wearing than wait for the unequip animation. There is a secret room under the Queen's infested citadel, making for a sweet spot to establish your Queen portal. Plus, a good chance for a spawn of the rare Dvager tankard. You can change the color of signs by inputting a code like this shown on screen. Most standard colors will work, but white is my preference, being highly visible even at night. You can use the secondary slamming AoE attack of two-handed hammers like the Stagbreaker to find secret loot underground. First, in the meadows, if slamming the ground of Viking graveyards, you will destroy the chests underneath and the loot will appear on the surface. Similarly, you can find silver veins without the wishbone by slamming the ground in the mountains. Look for the text "too hard" when slamming as an indication to dig for silver. Creatures are attracted to noise. Careful when mining, woodcutting, or even farming, as using your tools will alert creatures in the vicinity of your presence. Two-handed hammers like the Stagbreaker, Iron Sledge, and Demolisher's secondary slamming attack can all be used to do damage through walls. Use these attacks to navigate the burial chambers, sunken crypts, and infested mines, safely hitting enemies behind the safety of barricades. If you have eaten food you no longer want, but can't wait for their effects to expire before eating a new food, you can vomit up the current food if you consume a buke berry, or eat rotten meat recently added to the Ashlands. This will result in a vomiting animation, but empty your belly for more food. Careful though, while vomiting you will be under the feeling sick effect, making you very vulnerable. Clothing purchased from Hildir has a great perk that isn't immediately clear. While wearing 2 pieces, you receive a max reduction in stamina usage of 40%, but only while using the hammer, cultivator, or hoe. Caught fish can be mounted on walls as decorations in your home. They will even occasionally speak to you if nearby. Similarly, the boss trophies typically mounted on the sacrificial stones will also have voice lines if you persist near them. Rather than interacting with a cart to stop using it, which can be a bit clunky, simply roll. The same can be said while pulling the catapult and battering ram added to the Ashlands. While climbing steep cliffs, as you inevitably will do in the mountains or mistlands, bring with you a hoe. When running out of stamina, flatten the earth for a quick divot, allowing you to rest and restore your strength. If you are sick of picking up random resources on the ground, you can disable auto pickup in your game settings. I find this particularly useful in the Ashlands where resources are in abundance. Turn down the vegetation quality in your graphics settings. This will make it easier for you to spot resources on the ground like mushrooms in the meadows or cloudberries in the plains. You can modify your world behavior by selecting one of 6 presets, or customize your game exactly how you would like to play by interacting with one of 5 custom sliders. Combat settings, which varies the player and creature damage as well as creature speed and level up rate. Death penalty will vary the percentage of skill progress lost when dying, and for the hardcore players allows you to permanently destroy your whole inventory upon death. Resource rate allows you to modify the resource drop rate from half the normal rate up to 3 times the rate. Raid settings, which permits you to increase or decrease the interval and chance of raids, and portal settings, which provides various portal behavior from full freedom to no portals at all. You can also remove build costs, make enemies passive, play without a map, change the behavior of raid events, and new since the Ashlands update, enable fire hazards. Fire hazards will allow structures in any biome to catch fire and subsequently spread to other nearby objects. When a creature spawns, it has a chance to increase its level to gain a star or further 2 stars. With each star a creature has, it deals 50% increased damage, has twice as much health, and drops twice as many resources. Most weapons have a 3 attack combo, with the 3rd attack dealing twice as much damage. Spears being an exception to this rule. To maximize your damage, time your attacks in a way such that the 3rd attack lands. 3 creatures in Valheim have weak points on their bodies where they take increased damage. Trolls in their heads, Seeker soldiers in their butts, and Yalls in their underbellies. When dodging in this game, you receive brief invincibility while in the dodge animation. You can use this to your advantage in combat to avoid damage from attacks even if physically they appear to be hitting you. When wearing armor or using weapons that reduce your movement speed, this also impacts the amount of stamina that is consumed while dodge rolling. For minimum stamina usage, use light weapons and armor. Creatures become stronger the more players are within a 100-meter radius of them. For each additional player other than yourself, creatures will have 30% more health and deal 4% more damage. Contrary to popular belief, hitting multiple targets with a single swing does 33% more total damage than hitting a single target based on this formula right here. Of course, you will do reduced damage to any single target, but the total output will be higher regardless of the number of creatures. This is the same when hitting multiple objects, like when mining or chopping trees. However, there are 4 exceptions to this rule. The primary attack of single-handed swords, two-handed clubs, axes, and the polearm's secondary attack all do their full damage regardless of how many creatures they hit simultaneously. The underbelly of the Elder's spawn makes for an excellent base location for 2 reasons. First, digging underneath it allows for a permanent indestructible roof. Second, his fire never stops burning and does not require fuel, providing an unlimited source of the fire effect. Logging out of the game removes any status effects applied to you. Further, logging out while a Leviathan is undergoing its submerge animation will reset it, allowing you to mine all the chitin. Creatures have an awareness icon above their heads with the yellow symbol indicating they are aware of you and searching for your location, while red means they are hostile with your location known. Hitting a creature that is neither aware nor hostile will give you bonus damage based on the backstab multiplier of your weapon. This varies by class, with daggers having the highest at 6 times. You can enable PvP by opening your crafting menu. This enables you to damage any entity that is part of the player faction, like other players or tamed creatures. This is particularly handy, allowing you to hook tamed creatures with the harpoon and drag them around to relocate them. Fall damage does what is called pure damage and cannot be mitigated with armor. However, fall damage has a maximum damage output of 100 achieved from falling a height of 20 meters or higher. If you have more than 100 health, you could survive a fall from outer space. A new setting was added to the Ashlands update that allows you to change your attack direction. It has 2 behaviors. 1, you attack the direction your Viking is facing, or alternatively, attack the direction your camera is facing. Dvager will attack you if attempting to destroy any of their structures within the radius of their wards, preventing you from building in their huts. Fortunately, there are 2 ways to destroy them without angering the Dvager. 1, build a cart and continuously ram it, destroying the ward. Alternatively, drop a piece or multiple pieces of refined Iter next to the ward. Over time, Iter will shoot out slowly, destroying the device. Bows have a hidden attack noise mechanic that notifies nearby creatures of those hit with an arrow. All bows have a 15-meter radius, alerting all nearby creatures except for the Huntsman bow with a mere 4-meter radius. For this reason, the Huntsman excels with stealth, allowing you to pick off creatures one by one without alerting reinforcements. Most weapons reduce your movement speed, so when looking to escape a fight, sheathing the weapon will often make you escape the quickest. Most weapons have a sheathing animation, which will slow you down when looking to escape. The hammer, however, does not. Next time you need a quick escape, rather than unequip your sword, swap to the hammer and sheath it. Most creature spawners are easy to identify and simple to remove, like destroying a body pile in the swamp or Monument of Torment in the Ashlands. One that is less obvious are dragon egg nests in the mountains. These are in fact spawners of drakes, but can be interrupted if you remove the dragon egg. Simply pick it up and drop it to prevent the spawn of future dragon hatchlings. When taking hits or blocking damage in combat, you may notice a bar next to your character. This is your stagger bar. Like when staggering an enemy with a successful parry, you too can be staggered when absorbing too much damage. When this bar fills up, you will be staggered and vulnerable to enemy attack. There is a hack in the swamp allowing you to enter sunken crypts without the swamp key. Simply place a chair at the gate, sit, and stand back up. You can also get inside large rocks in the plains with this method, making for a safe portal location. When interacting with a boss Vegfisir stone, your character will turn to face the direction of the boss location. This is incredibly useful when playing in hardcore where you do not have a map. Weather in Valheim is actually not random. In fact, it is scheduled for each biome for each day for the existence of a server, and all servers will have the exact same weather on the same day. To illustrate, day 1 at 12:40 PM in the Meadows will be clear for every world you ever play in. Before you go, shout out again to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to dominate the field of combat and check out my link in the description and pinned comment below and claim your massive bonus pack for Xbox, PlayStation, or PC players if checking it out for the first time, or returning after an absence of 6 or more months. And if you learned something new in this video, you're bound to learn something new in my countdown of the 24 rarest things in Valheim.